Ruby Frank, this is a very, very, very sad story. This is a woman who was a family YouTuber. Right? If you guys don't know what family YouTube is, it's channels that are run around, whole families will have a YouTube channel the way a single person has like a YouTube vlog channel. Well, we all know that, the internet, and especially not YouTube, is not the real world. And this lady had her channel banned like very recently and eventually taken down. She'd been criticized for being not good to her kids. Her parenting style is not good to her kids. Well, one of her children escaped out of a window, 12 years old, emaciated, dehydrated, malnourished, found a cop, and now she has been arrested on 6 counts of felony child abuse. And I just think it's crazy how there's never going to be ways to like police this or put laws in place for these parents that have channels where they make their kids basically do YouTube videos. Right. And it's scary because we all know that the pageant mom is a trope and a pageant parent. I won't even disregard, all parents who see their kids as think of all the celebrities, the child actors whose parents were ruthless in just making their kid do this stuff only to steal their money. And it's the monstrous side of the internet when you reach fame for something like this only to find out later that person was an absolute monster.
That's scary, man.
Does this surprise you in any way, shape, or form?
I mean, I can't say that it's a surprise. I mean, people have been using their kids to
But there's even less protections in place for kids in these situations. Work protections, meaning that the parents will make all the money. Now there's at least protections for child actors where like they can hold on to their money.
I'm not the kind of this might be controversial, but I don't think that like kids, if you're like a child, like 8, 9, 10, 11, like kids are in no position to be like, oh, like that's my money and blah, blah, blah. Like,
Right.
I don't like the government being involved between parents and children.
Oh, yeah.
So I understand that the response is going to be, oh, well, parents could take advantage of their children. And you're right, they could. But it is better to risk that than to empower the federal government or a state government to put themselves in between a parent and a child just because the child is doing some kind of creative acting or whatever where they're getting paid.
Yeah.
It has to go to the parents. We've got a lot of things in society right now seem like they're trying to erode the rights of parents over rights with their children compared to the influence the state should have. There's a lot of people there. I see people talking about, we need to end homeschooling because of how many people have started homeschooling in response to COVID and stuff like that. There's a lot of people that are talking about ending homeschooling online. They say things like people shouldn't have the right to do that. People shouldn't be allowed to do that, and et cetera, which is always what comes from, the kind of authoritarian mindset and stuff. So as much as it is a risk that there will be a child that will be taken advantage of by their parents, it is probably not worth
But if they're making
empowering
the
government.
If they're making the kid do it, doesn't it fall into the category of child labor?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's child labor.
But it's not through an incorporated company, so there's no laws in place to protect them.
Right.
So child labor conjures ideas of children in minds. It conjures ideas of sweatshops.
Chimney
exactly. It's all as soon as you say child labor, you think of like pictures from the 20s or teens where kids are going to work and blah 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 blah.
And really, it's more like farm kids.
This story is more about the abuse of the mom. These kids were malnourished, not fed. They found him with duct tape on his hands, so he was being restrained.
And all those things are abuse and have nothing to do with the actual kid. The concept
kid
of a child being some kind of actor or some kind of whatever. So obviously,
Roblox. Have you heard of Roblox? Roblox is like building video games, and a lot of kids will get onto Roblox and build these video games for like next to nothing. But
we talked about that.
Did you talk about that?
Me, you and Ian talked about this. One night.
Yeah. He brought that to my attention because that's kind of scary. Like all these kids working for free, and they, make video games.
Pay them in.
Pay them. Yeah. Pay them in something.
The money should go to the family. Should go to the parents. And while we're talking about the parents should be legitimately, proper parents and make sure that the children are taken care of and they're saving money for the kid when the kid,
that makes sense.
That's all should stuff, but and I understand that these kind of things are.
So it's like at that point, that's when you feel the federal government should be able to step in.
No.
But not solely because, so when it becomes abuse, you still don't think that they should step in?
I think that it should be, at the most, it would be state governments. I don't think the federal government has any right to step in.
Okay, gotcha.
States are completely empowered and capable.
State
and stuff
government.
like that. So state governments, if the state does, and when it comes to the state stepping in, I'm really, really, really
cautious.
Apprehensive about it. Really bad, just because of the bad thing. Bad things can happen either way. And if you're like, well, bad things can happen if the state steps in, and bad things can happen if the state doesn't step in. Unless the things that happen when the state does not step in, unless they're really, really, really bad.
Yeah, like in this case.
Yeah, then it must be exactly abuse. Then obviously, if there's abuse, but again, the abuse thing, the states should step in right away because it's abuse, not about the work.
But not because of the work.
So to me, they're two different issues. The abuse is one, and then the working and stuff like that.
So they're kind of clumping it together because she's a famous influencer mom.
And her sisters are all influencers as well, and basically took the side. They said, look, she deserves to be arrested. They had 6 kids. The daughter, who was 10, was found malnourished at her business partner's house. Her name's Jody Hildebrandt. Both of these ladies have been arrested for this, and it really does make me think of like Tiger Mom, like pageant moms and stuff who have been known to just use their kids. And it's scary because kids are watching this content. Like this, family YouTube and content with kids is among the most watched stuff on YouTube because the youth are the ones that are watching it, right? So they get this image of what they expect these people to be, but the internet and fame turns people into monsters, and accordingly, it also takes people who were already prone to monstrous behavior worse because it gives them a platform to hide their monstrous behavior
this
for
is
personal
like,
gain.
Yeah, like when my nihilistic side comes out, and I just can't help but think how many monsters there are out there that are making money off of like people's eyeballs being on them, and little do we know this is what's going on behind closed doors. I hope it's not a lot out there, and I hope they continue to be caught, but it's just kind of makes me, I can't help but think how many are there out there like this,
Yeah.
I think the YouTube, like the family YouTube ones are always it's kind of, I keep giving the funny example of the family, of the traveling family channel that I always reference lately with the impossibly hot mom. And I'm just like, and I look at it, I'm like, this is so toxic. Like it just feels toxic. I can't tell you why. Maybe it's just pessimism on my part. But it's like, I look at it and I'm just like all their videos are like, it's like paid promotion with this, paid promotion with this. I'm like, it can't be that simple, right? It's like all this stuff. It just feels like the internet has created a marketplace where there's even less in the way of scrutiny from the public because, look, when people hear the stories about childhood celebrities like a Macaulay Culkin or somebody, or these celebrities who were taken advantage of for their money, or they were abused by Hollywood, that's something that people can put a face to, right? We talk a lot about, like, is Hollywood demonic because of the way, the way that kids are swallowed up by the system, chewed up, spit out, and ruined for life. Where does that go when we're in a culture now where your own family can do it without the middleman, and then there's just nothing.
So question, I guess, like for everyone, but also for like specifically for Phil, do you think that Hollywood families, like child actors, do you think there should still be that law or statute where they can't access their money until they're 18? Or do you think that that's an overreach?
Talking about children cannot access
like from what I understand, child actors and like people in the industry, like their parents they can't access their money.
The parents can't, or the child can't?
Oh no, it's the child who can't access the money till they're 18, or is it the
parents can't? It's put into like a trust in some cases.
Right, right.
So, but is the situation neither can access it, neither child nor parent, or only the parent can't access it?
I thought it was only the parent could, but I might be wrong.
Yeah.
So I can't really answer unless I'm sure.
Yeah.
So if the case is the parents are prevented from accessing it, I don't think that works just because the parents are the actual guardians of the children.
Yeah,
and if you're, and that means that the state is stepping in and saying, no, parents, you're not the guardian of the child. We're the guardian of the child because of these financial things.
Yeah.
And I
agree.
don't, and I have a problem with that because again, the state is the problem.
Also, in this case, the husband, I was like, well, what the hell's the husband doing in all this? Because he's not the one who's getting arrested. They had been split up for 13 months. And he's like, I've never condoned abuse. I'm like, you haven't seen your kids in 13 months, seen like the duct tape on their wrist from being, held against their will.
Yeah.
And it's just scary because there's just such a facade. Like the facade extends far past Hollywood now. And to see this stuff in the wild is scary to me because this story didn't get a whole lot of attention. And I feel like these stories should be highlighted because it's scary.
Yeah.
There was that other super famous YouTube couple where like a video of them arguing in between takes leaked. So seems like a way more common thing than we think. And I think people were accusing the guy of being like verbally abusive or something to the girl. But I mean, it's a private video taken out of context. So I don't know if that is true or how far that goes. But there are a lot of people out there who are making money off of completely false images. Yeah.
Well, but the thing is, like, when you watch something on
very extreme
YouTube,
example.
even if it's a family, like, assume that what you're watching is still a performance. It's still a character in a way, even if, like, what these people are, like, an actor gets really good at portraying a character authentically. What people do in these situations, I feel like they get very good. They've developed a persona of themselves that's themselves, but not really. And they're very good at imbuing that persona with a good amount of authenticity. And that can be very jarring when you then meet a person in the real world and they're kind of like that, but not really like that. We're in like this weird middle ground now where you're no longer they're not portraying characters. They're just portraying themselves. But
it's more about personality now rather than creating your own.
It's a weird time to be alive.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
It's a weird time
Very
to be
weird.
alive. Like even doing something like this, like I'm a fairly introverted person. Like doing the show is not, I'm authentic. I am who I am. All the stutters tell you that I am who I am. If I was better at this, there would be less ums and ahs.
Yeah.
But the idea is that like you're portraying an aspect of who you are, but you still have to like exude more to do something like this. Otherwise it would be unbelievably boring. Right. So
Yes.
where does the portrayal end and your true vintage, your true actual personality come into play?
I mean, in like a normal 2-hour conversation, I'm probably spacing out a lot more than I would in this conversation. I'm actively like paying attention and trying to stay active. It doesn't mean that it's disingenuine. It's just not a good portrayal of who I am 24/7 or anybody.
What?
And a lot of, and that ends up being one of those things where then people, yes, she was talking, I think. What did you say again? But like people then put a lot on you and they assume that you're like that all the time. And it's not a good idea. It's not a good idea to do that with people that you like, even if they are good people. And it's definitely not a good idea to do that with people like this, where then you're tricked into thinking somebody who's absolutely monstrous is a good person. So
monstrous is a good word.
We'll see where the case goes, but it's very scary to see that this stuff is out there in the world today. Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.